Okay, so welcome to Third Space Academy interviews, and today we have none other than Miss Cathy Brown. Cathy is an elite PT over at Soho, and I remember my first memory of Cathy was I
Uh-oh.
just kind of started, and she literally pulled me, as in not hello, she literally grabbed me and went, "Oh, you're Josh. You're going to be the head of education. I need to talk to you right now." And we started talking about the boxology course, which I'm sure we'll come on to in the interview. But Cathy, can you do me a favor and just introduce yourself, who you are, what your previous kind of achievements have been, how you got into fitness, and how long you've been at Third Space?
Wow. Okay. So this is going to take about 2 hours.
The short version, if you can.
Oh,
But
come
no.
on. Right. So I first got into the industry back in 1992. This is where my age shows. I started kickboxing as a hobby because I'd sort of been in an abusive relationship when I was younger, and I started doing kickboxing as a form of self-worthiness and self-confidence. So I started kickboxing in 1992 and quickly found out that I was pretty good at fighting, not on the street, in the ring. And they kind of threw me into the ring pretty much 3 months after I'd started. And I figured out I'd never done sport before. My family weren't sporty whatsoever, and I hadn't really done much sport at school. And then all of a sudden I found this epiphany of this thing that made me feel amazing about myself. It gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a sense of self-worthiness. So I started kickboxing with that, and I increased my confidence huge amounts. And it's not that I could punch people in the face. It's more in the fact that I felt just a sense of belonging somewhere, a sense of a community, which I think the fitness world is very good at creating, is that sense of community, which is really important. So I did that. I competed for about 6 years at kickboxing. And in that time, I was working for the Met Police. I was being a forensic photographer. I did that for 6 years. While I was kickboxing, I was doing both at the same time. Then I studied to be a personal trainer in 1996, and many moons ago. And from there, I started feeling that I wanted to offer people the same feeling that I got from exercise. I decided to go for my professional boxing license in 1998, and I gave up my career as a police photographer, forensic photographer. So I give that all up, and I started really throwing myself into being a personal trainer and to competing on a professional level with boxing. So I competed for 10 years, from 98 through to actually 9 years, till 2007. And that's when I sort of stopped boxing. Whilst I was working, competing, I started working at Third Space, because I found that working full time and competing at a professional level it wasn't going hand in hand. So I started to work at Third Space in 2001, which is about 6 months after it opened. So we're looking at coming up 19 and a bit years that I've been there, which is quite a while.
That's the age of some of our PTs, I think.
No, it is true. It makes me giggle, and I've been sort of at Third Space longer than the people who work at Third Space. But it just goes to show you that what I do is actually generally I love, and I've had a lot of clients at Third Space who've just stuck with me through the whole lot. I've got a client, my longest client's 14 years, and he still trains me 4 times a week, and he wouldn't train with anyone else, which is great. So then I carried on fighting professionally while working at Third Space, and then when I retired, I threw myself even more into sort of giving back and working with individuals. And that's when I started to study cognitive behavioural therapy and sports psychology, because what I found that when I retired from boxing, I was a bit lost. And although I was coaching, mentally wise, I was getting a bit depressed, because everything that I'd relied on for so many years to give me that strength had just been taken away, because I was told that I had to retire. I didn't have a choice in the matter, because I had neural damage in my neck. So I started studying cognitive behavioural therapy. And it's also, I found that I was attracting a lot of clients who not only were coming to me to get them strong and fit, they were using boxing as an outlet for their sort of anxiety, for depression, etc., for mental health reasons. So I found that I was being a natural therapist to a lot of my clients and to a lot of people. So I wanted extra tools in my box to be able to send them away, give them homework to do with cognitive behavioural therapy, alongside sort of giving them that physical sort of element, because they both go hand in hand, as we know, mental health and physicalness, like they join together. So it was really important for me to sort of study that, to be able to give back more to my clients. And since then, at Third Space, that we're quite lucky at Third Space is that, obviously I'm not saying that because you're head of education, but we are.
That is the reason why you are lucky, though, just so you know. Yeah.
Because we're supported, so we are supported with education, and we're encouraged to go on education courses, and also now Third Space run the education courses themselves in-house, and also use, as you know, outside suppliers. So that made it even more attractive for me to stay at Third Space, because you're given so many more tools of the trade. And there's a lot of PTs in the industry, been in the industry as long as me. Not every PT, but there's a lot of PTs who feel, yeah, they've done their PT course, that's all they need to know. Well, it's rubbish, because we are continuously learning, we're continuously growing as in the fitness industry. There's new science constantly thrown at us all the time. So I think anyone who feels that they've done a course and they've become a personal trainer and they know everything, then they're a fool.
Yeah, and it's that expert sort of graph scenario where at the beginning of a journey, when you don't know much, actually, when you're not an expert, you think you know everything, but then when you become an expert, you realize you don't know anything. So that's basically what happens, in all honesty.
That's why you get experts in the industry are the ones that are doing continued education. The people who will never ever grow in the fitness industry or in any industry, in that fact, they'll never ever grow and become better. They'll just stick on that fixed mindset, whereas the rest of us are sort of growing. And I'm like, I'm coming up 50 this year, and I've got so much to learn. Like, I'll be sitting even talking, listening to something, I'm like, oh my God, like, I should really know that. And it's something maybe I'd learnt back in 1998, but I've totally forgotten, because it's...
Try being the head of education and hearing some PTs talk and go, bloody hell, I don't know what that is. I better go and study that up.
You have to find it out, going, yeah, I knew that already.
Nah. So on a couple of those things, because you've raised some interesting points. One is, sometimes I do hear it a lot, and it's not just from PTs, but it's people that work within the business, where they'll say, well, you know, PT or personal training, isn't really a full-time job, or, you know, PT is not really something that you want to do forever, but it seems like you've found your passion forever. And for me, you know, I've got an ambition to make personal training, or to help make personal training a profession, and it can be something that you can do for the rest of your life. How do you think you've been able to survive so long in doing it? Not just because of your knowledge and obviously your passion for it, but why is it, do you think, that PTs do fall after like 2 years, go, well, I can't do this forever? What do you think the reason is from behind that, if you've got any ideas?
I just think, personally, I think a lot of PTs get into the industry thinking, yeah, I'm just going to train people, and find it quite easy. And then, again, going back to, they don't want to grow themselves. And actually, do they really want to be a personal trainer? Do you really want to do this? And why do you want to do it? I know why I want to do it. I get a massive kick out of helping people. So I'm a bit selfish in a way. I'm helping people, and people are constantly, oh my God, thank you so much, you're amazing. I'm like, no, thank you, because I get something from a session when you come back to me and you say, you've really helped me. And I don't think a lot of personal trainers get into it for that reason. And I think a lot of people are getting into it for the wrong reason. Haven't really got a why, and why do I want to do it? They think it's a quick fix to money, which it's not. It's really hard work.
Yeah.
And to build up that client base. And what I've also found with a lot of the young PTs is that they get into the industry and they expect us to be picking up clients like this, and I don't want to work at this time, I don't want to work at this time, these are my hours, and and they never really pick up clients. Now, when I first got into the industry, like, I was in the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was there at last at night, and I would have massive gaps in my day, but I'd be present in the gym, I'd be going around talking to people all of the time, members, and not necessarily, I wasn't giving them any hard sales pitches, I was just going up and chatting them and giving them free help and just getting to know people. And I feel like a lot of people that get into the industry don't realise actually it is really difficult and hard, firstly, when you first start off in the industry, because you have to build that. And that takes years to build that sort of client base. I mean, again, I went back to sort of my clients who've stuck with me for years. It's took me years to build up, and it's took me years to sort of develop that trust on an individual level with each one of my clients. And I think longevity and retention wise, a lot of people again have a different attitude to that. But my reason for having that relationship with my clients, I know their birthdays, I know their wives or their partners' names, what their dog is, etc. And it's that communication, which not just during the session, but outside the sessions. Like in this time of lockdown, I'm constantly texting my clients, how are you doing? Is there anything I can help with? I'll give them links to equipment that they can just do stuff. I've written them programs to do it on their own. And, I'm not getting paid for that. But it's something you do because you've developed this individual relationship with clients. And that is really, really important. A lot of people just do that bog standard sort of blank, like this is a program, and this is the program I'm giving to everybody. You can't do that. Each one of my clients are on different programs at different times, and some of them will come in and we're doing something totally different. Some people just want to have a CBT session, some people want to do boxing. It's being able to offer that and to be able to be diverse with what you offer as a personal trainer. And I think a lot of PTs in the industry don't realise how much hard work it takes to be a personal trainer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've always said it looks easy, but it's a hard job because it doesn't just take, a lot of knowledge, and it doesn't take a lot of, strain on what you've got to do, but also a lot of mental and emotional strain as well. Sometimes you've got to really be present with the client. You've got to create that bubble, and sometimes that can be at a cost of you being quite drained, to be fair. So you've been at Third Space near enough from the beginning all the way to the end.
Yeah.
To the end, to now. Like no, it's not. Don't worry. But like, as in, you've been there near to the beginning till like all the way to where we are now, basically. So you've seen this whole journey. How have you seen it change? As in, what have you seen that you've kind of gone, oh, I'm glad that that's happened in that time? What's been the difference for you that's made you stay?
It's really difficult because the Third Space we've been at, this is our third buyout. So we've had 3 different huge management come in and totally change it every time. The first, obviously, a lot of management were kind of laid back. We didn't really get any education support. We just left to do our own devices, great community, and we had a great laugh. The second lot of buyouts kind of backed us up a little bit with education, but we're quite restricted with what we did. And I think the new sort of management allow us to have more flexibility with what we're doing outside of the Third Space as well. Like I do a lot of stuff outside. I've run a charity which we work with boxing and mental health. Last year we went to Iraq to stay in a refugee camp with a lot of women and children who've been raped by ISIS, and we used boxing to go and help them sort of just feel good about themselves, because I know how it worked for me, and we're developing that at the minute. And it's great that the Third Space are allowing me to have time off I'm flying off to Iraq, or next year we'll go to Nepal and work with young girls who've been trafficked, and then Mumbai, and then we're going to go back to Iraq. So having the flexibility wise, I've seen that change a lot of what we're allowed to do. I mean, I run my own company called Boxology, which is a education course for personal trainers to teach them how to hold pads correctly. So at the same time, we've been working full time, and I've been doing a lot of hours at Third Space. I'm also running alongside developing an own company with that. And the beauty of Third Space is that they've allowed me to run Boxology within the Third Space, and have given me huge support, and they've put trainers on there who work at Third Space, and that means a lot to me. And I think, and I'm not just saying this, had the third buyout not happened, I'd have left Third Space. The second lot of buyout managers weren't as supportive, so I was kind of thinking about moving on, to be honest, before this buyout. But due to the fact that I'm given so much support at the minute and allowed to sort of run, the charity Boxology, and really given that sort of help, anything I might need to do, what help do you need? Well, I wouldn't mind this happening. And that's where I've seen it change, is the support network. And I feel, I've studied psychology. I know fine well that if when management are supporting their workers so much and so solidly, their workers are more likely to stay because they'll be happier in that workplace. If you don't feel you've got that back and you don't feel like you've got that support and that understanding of who you are and what you're doing, people will like just move on. So that's why I've stuck at Third Space so long, and I get great a lot of any PR that I've got. You know, Third Space allow people to come in. I can do my sessions there. It's right in the heart of Soho, and also what has kept me there, all my clients, like really and truly, the clients who've stuck with me through everything that I've been through in my life. They've been there the whole time, and they haven't really sort of gone to any other trainer. They don't want to go any other trainer. So it's yeah, that's how I've seen it change.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I remember when I first started, you were sorry, it was coming up to a point where we just created the elite pathway and we created the elite assessment. And before that, I don't really know. I think it was done based on merit. It was done based on hours. And there wasn't really a formal assessment because there was no one there to kind of drive that forward. So myself and obviously Rob Beale at the helm kind of put that process in. And I do remember we met a couple of times, and shall we say you wasn't ecstatic about potentially doing the assessment. And I remember agreeing with you going, well, actually, yeah, I do agree that you probably should have been made elite before this, but this is kind of the assessment now. And we would like you to go through it just to try it. And I remember you was still dragging a bit. You did it like all begrudgingly, but you did do it, which was good. And I remember at the end of it, you actually said to me, actually, I'm glad I've done it now. What was the reason that kind of made you go, well, actually, I can see, yeah, I'm glad that I did that? Was it like the merit of it? Was it more, well, I've earned this? Like, what was that sort of journey about, if that makes sense?
So, originally, I've been trying to push for elite before yourself and Rob Beale had come along and been recruited by Third Space. I've been really pushing that for about a year and a bit. And they, at first, they were allowing people just to go. They were choosing people, they were handpicking people to be elite. And I was actually quite upset about that because obviously my merit in the industry, how long I've been working in the industry, sort of my athletic achievements, the fact that I was running all of the boxing at Third Space, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth. And again, that was one I kind of sat back and I thought, you know, I'm really upset about this. You feel undervalued, and I didn't like being undervalued. It really sort of, it makes your sort of motivation drop a lot. And I found that my motivation had dropped quite solidly. So when Rob Beale had come along, again, I did the same to Rob as I did with you. I was like, wait, come here. So obviously I told you about boxology, but Rob Beale, I was like, listen, this is the deal. Like, I really feel like I should be made elite, and I'm quite upset about it, and I'm pretty demotivated about it. And Rob was like, oh, 100%. We'd had a couple of meetings. You were the same. You were saying you should be elite. You should have been made elite. And I was like, great, got that. And then I got this email from Rob saying, right, so we've created this assessment procedure and we want you to go through it. And I was like, well done. I agree with the assessment procedure, and actually I think what you're doing should be done, because actually there was nothing in place, and there was no sort of, right, this is what the procedure is, this is how many years you've got to do at Third Space, this is the amount of hours you've got to go through, this lot of education to make it. There was no structure, and you needed a structure. So the structure that Rob Beale put together in himself, 100% I agreed with. But I was a bit like, hold on, but I thought, I still didn't think like you would make me go through it after everything. So I had another meeting with Rob, and Rob was like, look, can we just go through it? We want you to almost test it out. And I was like, all right, okay. So I thought, you know what? And this is typical me, I'm going to prove it here. I'm going to make them sit through 40 slides all about me. And I spent hours and hours and hours on that slideshow presentation. You might not have realised, but
no, it came across, to be fair.
So much time. I practiced it. I put video content in there. I had testimonials. I had pictures. I had quotes. I had everything. And I thought, dear, I'm going to prove a point here. And so I went through the assessment procedure, and yes, I am pleased, because then I'm like, it's almost like I'm not putting my fingers up, but it's like that's so Winston Churchill. Yeah. So. And the elite PT for me wasn't about the money either. It was about a status. It was about a recognition in the industry. It was about a recognition from Third Space to say You are one of our elite PTs. We recognise that and we value that. And to me, that's the most important thing. I don't think there's enough women going through for the process. I think there's only me and one other really that's functional as an elite PT, as a female, but we do need more females in there. And I don't know what's putting women off from doing it.
Yeah, that was the question, because I remember we've spoken a lot about this, because as you know, my wife is very much does a lot of talks on feminism and does a lot about this sort of stuff. But what do you think is the reason why? Because let me tell you, basically, it's not because, you know, we get a load of females apply and they don't make it through the application, or it's not like they come to the assessment and they don't. In all honesty, the time that you came, the first assessment you had, you've been the only female application I've ever had, basically, for elite. Why do you think it is that we don't have many females going for it? Because in all honesty, there's just straight away to my mind, I've got 3 or 4 that I'm like, I hope every time they apply. What do you think it is? Like, have you got, and you might not know, but why do you think we don't get many females applying?
I don't know whether it's, I don't know, because I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I don't know whether it's because, like, still the fitness industry in my mind is still very much a boys' club. It's very male dominated. You know, it is quite an intimidating industry to work in as a female. I mean, I was all right because I'm a Gobby Geordie, and so it doesn't really bother me, and I'll, you know, but it's still sometimes, you know, confident. I don't know whether it's a confidence thing of they feel that they're going to be in a panel front of people, or whether whether it's because they feel it's a male industry and they don't have enough confidence to even apply for it. But 100% that we need much more female coaches, and there are some really good female coaches working at Third Space who deserve to be going for that elite PT, and they've got that knowledge. I just think they've got to have that faith and that confidence to just push forward. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever you go for, whatever you do in life, and I do the same, like even just building boxology, I was shooting in the wind. Like, for the whole time I built boxology, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing when it comes to course creating, but I do now. But it was really scary at first. I remember the first boxology course I delivered. And even it's my course, it's my content, it's my knowledge. I've been in the industry for years. I'm an ex-pro boxer. Like, I've really got that knowledge. But that confidence about delivery is always, because it's the unknown, isn't it? I'm not sure how people are going to take it. Are people going to take me seriously? And even now, developing it online, you've got to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions. And I feel uncomfortable and I don't feel 100% confident. Just go for it. If you don't go for it, you'll never get anything. If you go for it, at least you stand a chance of getting something.
Yeah, and I think that mentality of, well, fitness is just mainly for lads and stuff is ingrained in people's minds, because if you took a step back and looked at the Third Space management team, as in FMs, AFMs, going up to Group X, to exec, like the amount of females is probably over to males now. As in, you look at the AFM team, FM team, and when I'm in the meetings, like it's at least 50-50, if not more females, which shows that actually Third Space isn't a boys' club, and Third Space isn't like only males and blah blah blah. And look, I'm the least male you can get, so they've got me as head of education. But yeah, I think it is, that resonates quite a lot. I think it could be because the industry has been quite dominated heavily by males, and it could still be that kind of effect that people still think that is what it is. Oh, it's mainly males, when actually one of the best coaches that I've ever met in my life is a female, and someone that I've learned a lot of. Huh?
Is that Cathy Brown?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's Cathy Brown. Yeah. And look, I don't want to leave without giving an opportunity for us to talk about boxology as well. So obviously I've seen all your stuff, and I've created courses, obviously, as you know, in the past and stuff like that. And compared to what's out there in CPD, whether it comes to boxing or anything, I mean, this is next level for me to see. And the cost of it is like 10% of what it's worth, in my opinion, when you look at what's out there, right? So do you want to give like just a bit of an easy description of what is your level 1, or it's called something else now, I believe, isn't it?
Round 1, round 2.
So round 1, round 2. Yeah, I remember there was something. So round 1, round 2. What's the kind of description of each, and who would you recommend would attend those courses?
Well, I designed boxology because boxing has become so much more popular within the gym environment, and a lot of personal trainers are using it as an extra tool. And because boxing has now got this great sort of stimulus and helping with mental health, and a lot of, we've got a lot of therapists, a lot of execs, a lot of people who are in highly stressful jobs who sometimes just want to come and punch something. And what I was seeing, there was a lot of really, really bad pad work, and it's not about the coach. It's also about, the main thing was about injury rather than sort of like the coach looking shit. And it was causing injury to a lot of people because they weren't punching the pads correctly. So therefore, they were causing injury to their clients. And also, if you want to build a business, you've got to look like you're one of the best in the industry. You've got to look like you know what you're doing. When people are just holding pads and then doing all this terrible pad work, it's not going to attract more clientele for you. So then I had a bit of a think, and I thought, I need to create something, because there's no real good courses out there at the moment which teach people about pad holding. There's a couple of pad courses which are attached to sort of the personal trainer courses, which are like a day, but I've seen them, they're not good. And also,
yeah, I did one of them ages ago when I first got in the industry, and it's still a similar one. And I injured my wrist doing it, so I had to stop doing any form of help with pad work.
That's right, because the people that are teaching you don't really know what they're doing.
And even like, well, what pads do they recommend? And I got recommended some like speed pads, and it was all like, it was just not right. I was like, this is really hurting, I'm gonna have to stop. Yeah. And it turned out that I sprained a tendon in there because of just holding pads. But yeah, sorry.
No, but again, it's about holding pads so you're not going to injure yourself as a coach. Because if you're holding pads during the day in a lot, like I do, and I'm holding them for some big guys, you need to hold the pads correctly. Otherwise, you're going to have like joint injuries coming out, and then that's going to affect your training. It's going to affect everything. And a lot of the pad courses weren't really covering the anatomy and physiology side of it. So the round one course, which is it's basic pad holding, but it covers basic anatomy and physiology and program design for boxing within that. We've covered sort of energy systems on a very basic level, so that people can, not just holding pads, understand how the boxer's body works. Why does a boxer's body work differently than a bodybuilder? Because everybody's got a different reason and why their body has to be like that and why their training has to be like that. And then the round two is more of an advanced boxing, so it's more advanced pad work, more advanced techniques. We also include how to run a group class, because dealing with a group situation where you've got 10 people with 10 different learning abilities and learning styles, you've got to be able to cater and be able to sort of adapt for that. So that's included in the group side of it. And we go a bit more into periodization in the round two book, and planes of motion, and a bit more in depth on the anatomy and physiology, because what I find is even a lot of the boxing coaches who've been around for years don't really understand about anatomy and physiology. So we've thrown that a bit in the book that you do. So the 2-day courses that we do, you do a 2-day course for round one, a 2-day course for round two, and then aside from that, on the additional sort of material you get a pretty damn thick book on everything anatomy and physiology. And also from the courses that I've done, a lot of courses I've done in my time, not boxing, but other courses, you're only going to retain about 10% of what you learn on the course. It's human behaviour. So we wanted to create a course where you had a great book to take away with you. And also we created an app which gives you, like, on the round one, you get 110 boxing technical videos to just refer back to. You can show your clients. It's just a refresher. And on the Boxology round two, you've got about 150 separate technical videos. I'm putting them together at the minute. I'm designing the course as an online course, and I'm making the book so that rather than having the app, on the book you've got a link through to a video that you're reading about. So I'm developing that. It's taken sort of quite a while, but we want to make it the best out there. We want people to go away, wow, the quality of these courses are amazing. And also the other thing which we've done, which is different than most of the industry, is we limit the maximum capacity to 10 people, and that's with 2 instructors. Because when you're teaching someone how to coach boxing, I've been on courses again where there's like 50 odd people, and you come away, you've not really sort of had any personal interaction with the instructor. You've not been able to practice what you're being taught and had someone to come and assess you. Because we can all do things and go, yeah, I've done that. But the instructor needs to go around going, actually, I'm assessing you and you could do this a little bit better. why don't you try this? And that's what you get on the boxology course. It's really a one-on-one for like 2 solid days with me and Greg, who runs it with us. We run that together. And I think that's really imperative to sort of learning skills and being able to sort of retain.
Yeah, and a couple of things that you've said. I mean, you have said that your round one is basic, but can I just say that, like, looking at your stuff, it's still more advanced than anything else out there, by the way. It's in your terms and your realms, because yourself and your husband, who's the gentle giant Greg, who's another elite PT, by the way, of Marylebone, you guys, your knowledge and experience in the industry of boxing and professional boxing, like, you can't pretend that, and you can't learn that. Do you know what I mean? So I think now, by the sounds of it, it's more about your resources that you're trying to come together to make it a full-rounded sort of package and product. And then one thing that I just want to ask about while you're here, because you've mentioned it, obviously yourself and your husband worked, and I think still work, in professional boxing, right? And on the professional board. I forgot what the board's called. Apologies. British Board of Boxing Control. Yeah. So, I mean, I remember being asked by a couple of very well-known boxers, heavyweights, to do some nutrition for a couple of their younger undercards and their camps. So they put me on to a couple of their coaches. And I was really excited, because some of these were like fighting at Headline, O2 Arena, whatever. And I got the biggest shock of my life speaking to some of these coaches, because, as you say, like, I met up. I can't remember why me and Greg met up, but we did. And I can't remember if I had to give him something. I can't remember. We met up at West Hampstead. I think maybe, I borrowed a book off of him. That was it. And I remember on that day, I had a phone call with one of these coaches, and I asked Greg, and at the time I said, Greg, is this like this everywhere? And he was like, yeah, unfortunately it is. And why is the state of boxing so much like, these people might be great technical coaches, but they know nothing about energy systems and nothing about anatomy. They're doing some crazy stuff. The nutrition is just all over the place. What is it? As in, like, why is it like that?
The boxing, and obviously I've experienced this from many different ways. It's full of a huge ego. And obviously when I first turned pro in 1998, there was huge barriers thrown against me, like, you should be allowed to box, you're a female. Ooh, I'm a huge sexist sport at the time. And, you can't train in this gym. This is just for blokes. You're too pretty to box, all that. Anyway, luckily I had that sort of drive in me, like I still do now with everything I do. I'm just like, right, I need to make this the best. I need to be the best at it. There's a lot of ego in the boxing world, and a lot of old school trainers who feel that they know about it because they've done a little bit of training, or they've watched a couple of videos. Everyone feels it's like, without sounding bad, everyone reads like Men's Health, and everyone thinks they're an expert, and it's the same sort of thing. And they don't want to sort of educate themselves. I know about boxing. I don't need to go and do this course. We had a super middleweight boxer on our course who was a trainer. He was the British title holder, I think. His coaching style was diabolical, and we asked him why he was coaching like in a certain way, or why didn't. He just said, "Well, that's because that's what I've been taught," and he was just being a boxer. He's gone into boxing coaching straight away. He's not done any education. You'll find a lot of boxing and martial art coaches don't actually do any education courses. They've had a fight, they've had lots of fights, they've done lots in the industry. Like, I had like 52 fights, but I'm an expert at fighting, but actually at coaching, there's much more education you need to learn about how the body works. And I just feel that a lot of egos won't allow them to go on courses to learn that. And that's why we put the anatomy and physiology side in round 1 and round 2. So at least they do a prerequisite to show that they've read those chapters before they do the course. So at least they've read a little bit about it to understand how the anatomy works. And they're not an expert, but at least have some sort of understanding.
And I guess it's that athlete turned coach scenario, which you get in like all professional boxing, where it's just the way it's been done for how many years. And because you're a good athlete, that must mean you're going to be a great coach. So I get it. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, why have I been training like that for, I don't know, the last 10 years? Or why have I been doing that? Or why does my coach get me to do that? And why do I eat that at a certain time? One thing, I mean, on round 2, we've done very, very little bit about nutrition. However, I wouldn't do nutrition really on a heavy level with any boxers because it's not my expertise. If one of my boxers needed a really heavy nutrition plan, I mean, I'd give them basic ones. But if they really needed to do the nutrition, I wouldn't do it. I'd give them to someone who really knows about nutrition. And I think in the industry as well, just going back to personal trainers, there's a lot of clients. We can all train everybody, right? Everybody does. We've got enough education now. Whoever you put in front of you, you could train them. However, can you train them to be the best of what they can be? Maybe not. Maybe your interaction or maybe your knowledge doesn't suit that particular person. And I think, there's certain people that I've turned down as clients. And I said, I think it's probably best you go with B instead of me and passing them on to someone else. And I think that takes confidence in the industry to do that on personal training. And the same with me with nutrition. I'd be just like, I'm going to pass them on to one of our other guys who studied like precision nutrition or one of the other bigger courses out there. I would give them to them just to sort of do the nutrition side of it, and then I'd do everything else.
I think that's the elite mentality, if we were to sum it up, where we're not an expert in everything, and any elite trainer will go, I don't really know that, but I'm really good at this, and then secondly, you guys know your limitations, and you're like, well, A, I'm not going to enjoy training you because I'm not going to get the best out of you, and B, I'm not going to be the best for what you want, so it's better that I move you on to a peer, I guess, as well.
But that's being an expert again, right?
Yeah.
Expert because I'm honest with myself. I don't feel comfortable doing that. If someone passed me a bodybuilder, I'd be just like, all right, I could do something because I've got knowledge. But really, would I enjoy it? Absolutely not. One of the sort of meccas of sort of bodybuilding sort of knowledge.
Send him over to Mikey Smith.
Mikey Smith, yes.
And then just lastly, before we kind of end this, what advice would you give to, there's going to be some trainers where currently, and quite rightly, they're going to be a bit concerned. They're going to be a bit worried for when they go into club, like, how's it going to be? And maybe in historical times, they've not been in much, or they've not really been interacting with members all the time, and they've gone for food instead of, helping and things. For when we get back in club, and at times where, they might be a bit quiet, if that does happen, what sort of advice would you give to our younger trainers to keep, not to keep them busy, but to keep them out there for clients?
The most important thing, and I did it, and I still do it now, and I'm not even trying to pick up clients at the moment, or I wasn't before we went into lockdown, but God knows what's going to happen afterwards. But it's being present is the most important thing that you can be. It doesn't mean that you come in and do 2 clients and you go home and then you come back in the evening. Be present. I bring my laptop in with me. I'm present. I talk to everybody. And I think, you could put me in any gym environment and you could say, go and speak to that woman or that guy and go and just talk to them about anything. You should be able to, as a personal trainer, go up to somebody and say, hey, can I help you with something? What are you doing today? It's interacting with members. Find out their name and call them by their name. And then every time you see them in the gym, just say hi to them, even if they're not interested in personal training. And I feel as well, when you're approaching people on the gym floor, not to go in too heavy with like, yeah, come personal train with me. Just go and see, what you're doing, where do you work, what's your name? And bit by bit, just get to know different people and try and remember their name. And stuff like that, and ask them if there's anything you can help them with. And I do that even when I'm training myself in the gym and I'm doing my own workout. I'll see someone next to me doing something which is wrong, which is probably going to hurt them. I say, why don't you try and do it like this? And thank you so much. And people are grateful that you've gone up to them and actually given them a little bit of advice. Because again, we go back to the gym is quite an intimidating place for some people. And to come up to a personal trainer, members find that quite difficult because they feel a bit intimidated. We're kind of, oh God, as a personal trainer, we don't want to, go and ask them a question because we might sound silly.
Don't feed the lions.
Yeah, but actually, you should always be approachable and smile at everybody. There's some miserable personal trainers on the gym floor. I wouldn't go up and speak to them, and I'm confident in the gym. I'll go up to people who smile and say hello. So I talk to a lot of people in the gym, And like a lot of people know me by my name, and I know a lot of people by their names and where they work. And I think that's, if you're going to be a personal trainer, you've got to be that type of person.
I remember about when I was PTing at HSBC, I think 8 years ago. And what they did was, because there was me and one other PT, and we would get the most inquiries each month through the reception desk. And so what the management wanted to do was do a bit of a survey around the people that are doing inquiries to see, is there a course or a credential that, say, Josh and this other guy was called Rogerio, what do these two have, and that we can upskill our trainers in? And even though we would like to think it was because, you know, Josh has got this expertise and he looks like this and does this, it was one major thing, and it was because they knew my name. And so when they came to the desk and said, I want a PT, well, who? Oh, maybe Josh, because Josh and Rogerio was on the gym floor talking to people and going, oh, by the way, my name's Josh. That was the deciding factor when they asked, what PT do you want? Well, actually, I only know one's name, so I'll go for them. Yeah. It's crazy, right? Because, again, you want to think as an ego, they pick me because I'm a great trainer. It was probably just because it was your name. They trust the company to hire great trainers. It's just because they knew who you were. And
you're probably the only people that went up and spoken to them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. How can they choose a personal trainer if they haven't had any interaction with anyone in there? So if you're a PT and you're just starting out, get on the gym floor. Don't stand behind. We've got a desk. Don't stand behind the desk and just smile at people.
Darren will love you for that, by the way. Darren's going to love you for telling him what's behind the desk.
No, I'll be like, get out. You've got it. It's go and speak to people. Find out that person's name and what they do for a job. What do they do? Where do they work? You know, and what are they trying to achieve? What are their goals? Just interact. You know, you should be able to, as a personal trainer, it's fair having all this knowledge about how to sort of make a human body stronger and fitter and faster and more agile. But you've got to have also, one of the big things is that interaction and being able to go and speak to anybody. Don't just stand there and wait for people to come up to you. 9 times out of 10, they're not. There's, you know, people haven't got that 100% confidence in the gym arena. It's an intimidating place for a lot of people. I'm very surprised about how many people are quite intimidated to be in the gym environment.
Yeah, I always say when I used to teach the PT courses that the amount of times or the amount of things that came in that client's way to get to the gym, they deserve a lot of respect for actually walking through the door. Imagine not enjoying the gym and not liking the way you look, going home from work and making yourself get changed. It's a cold day or it's raining, get in the car, drive to the gym, then get in there, join. Like the amount of barriers there are for you to go, oh, maybe tomorrow it's raining, or oh, I'm now at home. And like every person that walks through the door really should demand a lot of respect just for walking through the door, let alone training. And why do you think that if they've done all of that, they're now going to come up to you? Actually, you should show them respect by going up to them, because that's the least that they deserve, to be fair.
And also part of when you're a personal trainer, you've got to be able to interact with your client, even on a one-on-one basis. You know, I always said you should know their wife's name or their partner's name or their cat's name, you know, what kind of cat they've got, you know, what their stress is, what kind of day they've had, you know. I actually make notes in my diary, and this is the honest truth. I make notes in my diary when my clients' birthdays are. And I buy them a card, I buy them a present every Christmas. I buy them a bottle of wine or something, or just something personal to them. And because to say thank you for trusting in me for the entire year, for being your trainer. And those little touches are really important. And, you know, if one of my clients has got something big coming up, like a big meeting or a big presentation, I'll make a note and I'll text them and go, do you know what, good luck today, thinking about you. Those things always stand you above the rest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cathy, thank you so much. If anyone wants to find you and hunt you down, where's a good place? You're on Instagram, aren't you, Boxology?
Everything's.
What's the Instagram?
I've got 2, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's either Cathy Brown Boxer, Cathy with a C, Brown Boxer, or Boxology Academy. I'm on all platforms under those 2 names. So,
and hopefully, as soon as there was a bit of a lag, so
which I know you'll put on the YouTube thing anyway. Is cathybrown.co.uk or boxology.academy, or there are 2 websites, so you can read all about me on there. Watch me fight on there. Some fighting videos on there. You can see me having a tear.
Not with Greg, I hope.
Always with Greg. You get every time. I'll take him down.
And hopefully when we get back, as soon as, you know, social distances are eased, we can then potentially put out a course for the trainers to book onto for either round 1 or round 2. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of PTs that want to look into that 100%. Thank you very much.
Hopefully started in October, hopefully on the one-on-one, but also by then, I reckon by the end of July, I'll have online courses ready to up and go. We just need to film some more footage to make it really good, and then we'll work on both them.
Okay, nice. So once the online courses are done, what I'll do is I'll get like an announcement made for that on that Our People thing. So we'll do that as well for trainers out there. So don't worry too much if you can't remember where all these things are. So I'll send out that announcement once it's up and running. Cathy,
Soho. I'm at Soho all the time.
Oh, yeah, Cathy's always at Soho, by the way. Always. I try and sneak in. It never works. She's always shouting, Josh. But, oh God. No.
Come here.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Cathy. I hope you and Greg are all good and hope to see you guys in clubs soon. And again, anyone's got any questions, please forward on to Cathy's Instagram, but I will send out that announcement. So thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you soon.
Yeah.